Anne Bonny was born in the late 17th century, a time when the world was rife with adventure, exploration, and the tantalizing allure of the unknown. Her story begins in the bustling city of Cork, Ireland, where she was born to a wealthy plantation owner and his servant. From the very beginning, Anne was destined to defy the norms of her society. Her father, recognizing her fiery spirit, took her to America when she was just a child, hoping to provide her with a better life. They settled in the colony of Carolina, where Anne's early years were marked by a restless energy and an insatiable curiosity about the world around her. Growing up in the lush landscapes of the Carolinas, Anne was a wild child, often seen exploring the woods, climbing trees, and playing with the boys in the neighborhood. Her father, a man of considerable means, tried to mold her into a proper young lady, but Anne had other ideas. She was drawn to the tales of pirates and adventurers, stories that filled her imagination with dreams of the high seas and the freedom that came with them. She longed to break free from the constraints of her life, and as she grew older, those dreams began to take shape. At the age of 16, Anne's life took a turn when she fell in love with a young sailor named James Bonny. Their romance was passionate and reckless, and it wasn't long before they married, much to the chagrin of Anne's father. James was not the man her father had envisioned for her. He was a ne'er-do-well, a man without ambition or fortune. Nevertheless, Anne was determined to forge her own path, and she and James moved to Nassau, a notorious pirate haven in the Bahamas. Nassau was a place where the law was often overlooked, and the air was thick with the scent of adventure. It was here that Anne's life truly began to change. Surrounded by pirates and rogues, she quickly became enamored with their lifestyle. She was captivated by their tales of treasure, daring escapades, and the thrill of living outside the law. It was in Nassau that Anne shed the last vestiges of her former life, embracing her new identity as a pirate. Anne's transformation was not simply a matter of adopting a new lifestyle, it was a profound awakening of her true self. She cut her hair short, dressed in men's clothing, and took on the persona of a fierce and fearless pirate. Her reputation grew quickly, and she became known for her cunning and bravery. It was not long before she caught the attention of the infamous pirate, Calico Jack Rackham. Their meeting was electric, a collision of two wild spirits drawn to each other by their shared love of adventure and rebellion. Calico Jack was everything Anne had dreamed of. A charismatic leader with a band of loyal followers and a reputation that sent shivers down the spines of the wealthy elite. Their romance was passionate and tumultuous, filled with the thrill of the chase and the danger of the life they had chosen. Together, they embarked on a series of daring raids along the coast of the Caribbean, plundering merchant ships and amassing a fortune in gold and jewels. But Anne was not just a mere accomplice in Jack's adventures. She proved herself to be an exceptional pirate in her own right. She fought alongside her crew with a ferocity that astonished even the most seasoned sailors. Her skill with a sword was unmatched, and she earned the respect of her fellow pirates, who soon came to see her as an equal rather than a woman to be protected. Anne Bonny was not just a pirate, she was a legend in the making. As their notoriety grew, so did the dangers they faced. The British authorities were determined to rid the seas of piracy, and the noose was tightening around Nassau. Anne and Jack continued their exploits, but the thrill of the chase was tempered by the ever-present threat of capture. It was during one fateful raid that their luck began to wane. The crew of Calico Jack was ambushed by a British warship, and in the ensuing chaos, Anne's life would take another unexpected turn. The battle was fierce and the crew fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. As the smoke cleared and the dust settled, Anne found herself cornered. In that moment, she made a choice that would define her legacy. Rather than surrender, she fought with every ounce of strength she had left, refusing to be taken alive. The British soldiers, astonished by her ferocity, eventually captured her and her crew, but not before Anne had made her mark on the battlefield. When they were brought before the court, the fate of Anne Bonny and Calico Jack hung in the balance. The charges against them were severe, and the evidence was overwhelming. However, Anne's spirit remained unbroken. In a bold move, she claimed that she was pregnant, a clever ruse that would spare her from the gallows. Her cunning and quick thinking saved her life. But it also left her with a heavy burden of guilt. She had escaped the noose, but at what cost? As she awaited her fate in prison, Anne reflected on her life and the choices she had made. She had lived fiercely and passionately, but she had also lost so much along the way. Calico Jack was not so lucky. He was sentenced to hang, and Anne was left to grapple with the reality of her decisions. The pirate life that had once seemed so glamorous now felt like a double-edged sword, filled with both exhilaration and despair. In the end, Anne Bonny's story became shrouded in mystery. After her release from prison, she vanished from the historical record, leaving behind only whispers of her exploits and the legacy of a woman who defied the conventions of her time. Some say she returned to a life of piracy, while others believe she settled down and lived a quiet life, far removed from the dangers of the sea. The truth remains elusive, but one thing is certain. Anne Bonny was a force to be reckoned with, a woman who carved her name into the annals of history with her audacity and spirit. Her story is a testament to the power of choice and the courage it takes to forge one's own path. In a world dominated by men, Anne Bonny stood tall, a beacon of rebellion and strength. She defied the expectations placed upon her and lived life on her own terms, a true pirate in every sense of the word. The tales of her adventures continue to captivate the imagination, a reminder that the spirit of adventure knows no gender and that legends are often born from the ashes of defiance.